How's it going? My name is John Ormer. I'm here. We're reporting with She Got Game. I'm here with our lovely guest. It's been a great honor. It's a wonderful honor to have you on just to take time for us. Before I introduce you and let everyone know who you are, I just want to, give you your flowers. They're photographers who document games, but, with that being said, they're photographers who change the way you kind of view it. On any given night, you'll find her courtside, camera up, eyes locked in, smiling, making certain connections. Her photos don't freeze action, right? Instead, it catches the heartbeat. Her photography shows a very different aspect of the game, and she captures it in such a way it's almost like art. With that being said, she moves the hoop with culture, not around it. The athletes trust her. She's really becoming something big in the sports realm. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our special guest, Jody Ho. How's everything going with you?
Hey, well, going well.
My dog, man. No, this means a lot, man. I get to talk to a lot of people in our space, players, coaches, reporters, but it's a real honor to have you on. Especially as our first photographer, so I really appreciate you taking the time out on this Friday. I know you're running and gunning, and the She Got Game family is really excited to have you on, so we appreciate you.
Shoot. And you said first photographer?
For sure. First
Oh,
photographer on.
I love it.
100%, 100%. To kick off the episode, we always start with a special segment we have here at She Got Game, known as the She Got Game moment. This is a moment in your career where essentially, like everyone else, everyone has trials and tribulations kind of finding themselves, but this is a moment in your career where you knew you arrived. You knew this was a special moment for you, and you knew this is what I was supposed to be doing because I'm doing it at a high level. What was your She Got Game moment, Jody?
Ooh, great question. Um, and I'm gonna be honest, from starting my journey until now, I'm gonna say like honestly, I'm still on my way. I've grown in the space, but I'm also still growing. And so just think about the She Got Game moment. I wouldn't say it's like a big aha moment for me, but it's a series of little moments, I would say, that I've come across. And that would be like the times where people may have come up to me, or I might be just chatting up with someone, and people would recognize me by my work or my Instagram handle. They'd be like, "Are you what you do, Jody? Like, I've seen your work." And that to me is just like, dang, like that means the work's been working. Like I think it's this buildup of those moments that's like every piece is a, building block to me becoming like who I'm meant to be, who I'm supposed to be, like the purpose of this journey.
Absolutely. No, that's a wonderful answer. I think it's a very humble answer too. I think because there's so many moments you could have just chose from. You have a lot of great work out there and you've been able to collab with a lot of great players, artists, because you also do things outside of basketball as well. Like, you're a very versatile photographer. So I appreciate you for sharing that with us. And pretty much for people at home who may be following, just simply just keep working. That's all just keep working and keep trying to build the blocks, like you said, and the recognition will come, it sounds like. Speaking of photography, I kind of want to dive into when you're like in these spaces at, your courtside, camera in hand. Can you kind of like describe the moment, like where, what you're capturing is more than just basketball? Or can you kind of dive into the storytelling of your photography for a bit?
A lot of the skill in capturing photography is it starts with people watching, I'd say.
Mm,
Like, you come into the scene, you kind of just like my eyes are just always kind of like
okay.
looking around, like kind of like checking out, what's so and so like, maybe talking about what emotions are they showing.
Mm,
Then you watch the players, like who's really like trying to go off, and like who's gonna stand out.
ugh,
Who's got like a unique style. A role player not even like doing too much, like they might have unique tattoos. They might have like some they're wearing. If something catches my eye, shoot it. Because then I can, if I don't know who that person is or something, like then I can find out. I can do research and be like, oh wait, that actually is something meaningful. That's something to report. That's something to show people. And
so,
but if you think about it too much and you miss that moment to capture it, like it's always kind of like, oh man, I could have caught that. Versus like if you shoot first, like is golden. Yeah, I would say like instincts are just like just shoot what catches my eye, and that's worked out great in many ways.
Absolutely. It definitely does. Kind of speaking of that, because like even just having the process of that, like the people watching having the eye for the right thing, what was the first photo that you took that made you say, okay, yeah, this is the one?
Ooh. It's funny because when you're developing like as a photographer, as a creative,
Hmm.
and you're in different phases of your journey, it's like when I look at the photos when I first started, I'd be like, dang, like Jody, you had some work to do. Like you had some growing to do on like perspective and like but back then I was just like, dang, like I remember just thinking like, oh, my shit's tough. Like,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? I really can't pinpoint any.
Oh.
It's like there are moments from each shoot, and you shoot that one, like there are tough photos from like each shoot. We're like, oh yeah, like that's the one from this
Hmm.
series. But
Hmm.
after a while, man, like there's a few like headshots I can name where one that probably rings a bell is like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Brilliant. Yep.
It was just in a TV show premiere. He was sitting in the chairs. It was like darkly lit. And I just saw the profile view. I was just like, let me just capture that. And like in post edit, I was just like, let me just make it a mood like black and white. So
Mhm.
stuff like that. I think that would probably be one of the more memorable ones. But
Okay.
out of all the photos I've taken, like it's so tough to choose favorites.
I was gonna say, man, which leads me is a perfect segue into, my next question is for people at home, you're based in the West Coast. You're based in, you're LA, this is that's who you are. You're embodied by it. With that being said, how much or how important do you think that has played into your career? Having access to the Clippers, having access to possibly, if you really wanted to, Golden State, the Lakers, etc. Just kind of being surrounded by that and being able to be surrounded by such great players. The opportunity. How has that kind of shaped your career?
I would say like being in LA definitely is a blessing.
Yep.
It's like, LA, Hollywood is just known for people coming here for all the opportunities, fame, all that. So that's where, you will find celebrities, you will find top players here. So I would say it's definitely a blessing.
Hmm.
I don't know what to compare it to because I don't know anything other than West Coast being in LA, so this is all I've known.
100%.
But yeah, definitely lucky to never be for lack of opportunities here. And yeah, like I definitely when I bump into people that are talking about moving to LA or just coming to visit, like I always do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Waiting for like you're gonna have opportunities here. You gotta at some point like find your way here, whether it's just for one event or
yeah.
time period. Like there's always something going on here, and especially in the hoop scene, there's nonstop basketball hoops all around. So
Yeah, of course. I was gonna say, also, like, so I'm based in Jersey, and I'm based on, the East Coast here. We have to unfortunately deal with winter, and we have to deal with, snow, and it's a different type of beauty. I think it's a different form of beauty. However, but Cali, you guys get track all year, you guys get basketball all year, you guys get football all year. You guys, it's a more sport friendly, I would guess, state to a degree. And that also just, is a wonderful it just gives you guys a lot of, like you said, opportunities, whether you're trying to make a scene on the street side of things, whether you're trying to go on the professional side, and then not to mention the tons of colleges you guys have as well. So it just it is a sad reality, but being from a place, opens up a lot of opportunities depending on where you're from or where you're willing to move. So I thank you for sharing because I think that's a huge part of anyone's journey, like where they're from and what access do they have and things of that nature. Kind of to mention that, right? You've been able to shoot, and I want to just highlight specifically when you shoot because there's a lot of photographers who are talented and take good pictures, right? But there's an aspect like where your photos, the way you're shooting, where you're possibly editing, it's almost like while your photos are still, they almost still give like a motion picture in a way. And it's really cool. I don't know how to like explain it. Photographers will know what I'm saying. But there's a feel to your type of photography that you're able to capture. How do you think about certain movements when you shoot? I know you kind of mentioned the people watching stuff, but when the game's actually going on and you're getting certain shots and you're getting certain things where it's not just this guy's tired of drinking water, like you can physically see, oh, this is late in the game, this is crunch time. You can see the intensity on his eyes. Real sports lovers of you, I think your type of photographer a little different because it captures certain details that are precious to the game. Can you kind of just explain what are you looking for during the game to kind of capture these specific moments?
Like for sports photography, the cool thing
Mhm.
about it when you're walking into a game is
Yeah.
you you have an idea of like how it's going to run, obviously like warm-ups, tip-off,
Mhm.
but then on the other side is like there's always the unexpected in games because obviously not scripted, it's not
100%.
yeah, like pre-planned. So it's just like you never know. So there's always that chance of like exciting moments or like fights breaking out, something. So the thing is, like, you always kind of like gotta be trigger ready in a way. And if I told you like how many, and it's all of us, like how many times we like, I missed that.
Mhm.
Like that stuff haunts us as photographers. Yeah, I'd say kind of just like pick it up as the game's going and just try to think of ways to like capture it in a different way because, with photography, sometimes it can get repetitive in the
Mhm.
sports world.
I think what you're saying is accurate. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, I've seen tons of great photos, but I there's a point in time where like it could get repetitive. You start getting comfortable with certain shots, and now you're just getting same shots as just different people, and it still looks great. It's all in the details, and I think with your photography, at least what I've noticed, I haven't seen three photos that look the same. You know what I'm saying? There might be similar people walking down, but there's like a different facial expression. There's like they're wearing something different. Like whether sometimes what you're capturing in the picture doesn't seem to be capturing the person. It's more like the style or whatever they're wearing, which is really cool. And that's what I mean. It's just like it's you have found a way to find things in your photography that kind of separate them from others, even themselves, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
I'd say, yeah, it's almost kind of like a game for myself because to keep me from getting bored of like taking the same shot. The cool thing is, it's like with using the camera as equipment and then just our knowledge of the settings, like we can only do so much to capture the settings and like the timing of pressing the button to freeze that moment. And it's like the exciting part is kind of like seeing what you get to capture because it's like you don't know
Mhm.
for sure, like, oh, this is how it's going to come out. So it's like, with sports too, it's like you have constant moving subjects, just like catching fire from moments and people that like really aren't even just like staying in one place or like knowing that you're shooting them. It's just like, dang, that's the fun part of being able to capture like just trying artsy things. And sometimes you'll find like pockets of light where I've seen a lot of very
Mhm.
talented friends of mine play with and just like that's where the real game is and like seeing the creativity in the eye of like fellow creatives, like that cool part.
Crazy because when you get in a room of creatives or you get like around that energy, it is something euphoric, especially when you kind of feed off that too. It's like it's really cool. So, and that makes sense. I mean, look, you shoot the way you shoot, probably because you're surrounded by other talented photographers, and you guys probably push each other. So that's really cool. Um, I want to tap into a little bit of just like there's a culture aspect, right? Like you are in a male-dominated area, however you want to put it. I think times have changed and things have been moving in a progressive manner, but the reality is it is a male-dominated field, and not only are you just a woman, but you're an Oriental woman, and with that being said, you're embedded in the West Coast culture, which is kind of cool within itself because the West Coast got its own swag, its own the way they talk, and it's an energy, and you could tell by your style like this is really who you are. You're not an implant. That being said, being Oriental women, embedded in the culture, but being surrounded by men, has this ever been overwhelming for you? And what are some of the adversities you've had to personally overcome throughout the industry or throughout your journey?
I think it was just like maybe a couple years ago, I was just like talking to a couple of my creative friends
Okay.
and we were just, we always have conversations about how we're doing, how we can elevate. My circle's like real ones because it's like we really just like tell each other like, yo, you could really be doing this. You could really be like capitalizing on this. And they were telling me like, yo, Jody, like you're like one of the only or one of the two like Asian women in the field around here. And I'm just like, oh, like, okay,
Never picked it up,
like,
never noticed. Yeah.
I'm like, really? Yeah, because I'm like, obviously, when I see someone I can relate to, I'd be like, oh, yeah, good to see you here. But I never really like think about it. They were saying just like, yeah, like you really got to highlight that or emphasize it in some way. And I'm like, okay, okay. Like I'd say like any times I can like really highlight, my background and culture, like I'm really happy to. It's been a journey, but I've grown to become so proud of my ethnicity culture. The other part of it being in the male dominated field, I'm gonna be honest, that doesn't overwhelm me in any way. For some reason, I just kind of always felt comfortable, like amongst the boys, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I've had a background of just like being in male dominated fields, like little known facts before I started my creative journey and all that. I was working in the automotive industry for like over 8 years. So I worked with cars.
Okay.
I worked like, so it, I just like, it's kind of a thing I'm used to. Like, I'm used to being a woman in a male dominated field and like owning that. And like, that's a
Mm,
big part of my persona is like owning that, like as a
mm,
female. Each year on National Girls and Women's in Sports Day, I'll kind of like look back through my photos and I'll get photos that people have taken of me working in the field. And it'd be a lot where like 5 photographers, 10, whole room,
yeah.
like men. And it's just like there's so many where it can highlight it's just me being the female in there. And I
Mhm.
don't really, I mean, I take pride in that. Like honestly, like it's not intimidating at all. It's just like I take pride, like,
Yeah.
what's up?
Yeah. It's the most West Coast thing in the world, man. It's funny, man. I think New York, 100% New York, Jersey over here, we have an absolute own swag. We have a different type of confidence. It's like a little bit in front of your face a little bit. But West Coast has always been that, just like super chill, super cool, go with the flow, and it makes sense, man. It makes sense with your persona and just that's what you just roll in with the punches and you're like, hey, look, I could do this too. That's really cool, man. That's really cool, especially for young girls and people who will see this. It's like, sometimes not being overwhelmed and being cool, calm, and collected could kind of benefit you as well, kind of just embracing what it is and then finding your niche. I think that's always what it is, just finding where you stand out. It's funny we're talking about, your confidence level and things of that nature because a lot of people have to develop that, right? Like not everyone unfortunately just come in, with that type of swag. So, with that being said, when you shoot with confidence and instinct, right? What is the one, or let me ask you this, what's one camera tip that you've gotten or received that changed your entire approach and how you shoot and everything?
Mm. I think the one that comes to mind, because I'd say definitely confidence in shooting has been growing too each year. Like I didn't
Mm.
come into it with a confidence. It's funny because it's one of the most basic photography. Like once you're in it, it's like but it's like to shoot in manual. Because like
Ah, okay.
versus auto, because like experienced photographers would be like, you're shooting in auto. Yeah. But I've had previous experience with cameras, like shooting. I had a Canon through college, like just for fun.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but when I started the sports journey, I was put on to Sony, and it was just like a whole different camera that I didn't even really take the time to sit down and like learn
Mm.
settings for. I just kind of went with it. I knew the rules, like the basic rules, and I just like
Yeah.
set these up. I was really I just knew like I'm like, okay, the shutter, I gotta freeze the action. So I had a high shutter speed. Everything else was pretty much like auto. And I really had to like transition into knowing that like, oh, you shoot manual, you can really dial down the settings, like it'll help you in editing and
Mm.
then shooting in raw. Just having more ability to control the edits that you're gonna come out with. So yeah, I'd say the camera tip is just to really get comfortable knowing your camera settings and shooting manual and, just like learning. Because a lot of it's like every setting that you walk into, you're gonna have to like adjust your settings. So just like getting comfortable, being able to take your knowledge and experience of
Hmm.
the surroundings and applying that to the settings that on your camera.
That's well, I mean, again, I'm not usually behind the camera, but I know it's its own world and its own language, so I'm pretty sure the people who are, they're gonna understand, what you're speaking about. With that being said, though, because unfortunately, I do think there's an aspect of just I think creatives unfortunately have been kind of attacked. I think in the last probably couple of years, and I think AI has kind of plagued many creatives for worse or better. Some creators really enjoy it because it has helped. I know with the editing and stuff, I know photographers and certain people love it. But there's an aspect of some people who don't, right? There's some people I think feel threatened by it or like, they just it could be detrimental, right? With that being said, how is AI personally, have you seen how it's affected your craft? And do you believe it's beneficial or detrimental, for photography in the coming years?
Because I definitely have come across posts where, yeah, that fear is kind of like being broadcast, like, oh no, AI is coming. Like, look, they can pretty much take any background and,
Yeah.
change around photos any which way. So we don't need y'all photographers anymore. But technology can only do so much. And, the art of photography is like still lives in the ideas and the eye of us photographers or art, just creatives in general.
So,
I would say novice photographers that can be really creative. Like you don't need the expensive equipment to be creative or like capture something like in a creative way. I mean, but AI can be dope too. I'm gonna be honest. With some parts of the job, there are moments. We're only human, so it's like there
yeah.
are moments we might miss. There are
Yeah, 100%.
things like that people might want, like certain results people want that may not be doable, but AI, it does bring a different, like whole different game. Like, oh look. Like, so I'd say in editing wise, if you could make like this whole person disappear from a photo, like I
Yeah.
love that tool. I wouldn't say I'd be in fear of AI totally taking over. In other ways though, like as far as like influencer industry, like I'm seeing AI influencers, like
Yeah.
that's
I
a whole
mean,
different thing, but it's taking over in ways like, and honestly, the videos we're seeing too, like we don't know what to believe anymore.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, it's there. It's just I just hope that with anything, like you hope that technology don't really come in and take over, like
Yeah.
dominate and take over. Like it needs to be at bay, like used for benefits.
I was gonna say, would you agree that while AI is here and AI is making a push or whatever the case is, would you agree that skill is probably still going to take over? Because as you said, I believe AI is still limited. Like, especially now, you can hop in AI and literally create an article or any that's a direct attack to like what we do. However, I think, like you said, I think AI won't be able to understand nuance, won't be able to understand, how to put empathy and sympathy, certain things you could put into writing per se that or whatever that may look like in photography that the AI won't be able to pick up. So, in your opinion, do you think it is a skill issue to some degree for people who may be threatened, or if you do you think your skill can outweigh the benefits of AI?
Absolutely. And I think the challenge is you're gonna want to position yourself. You're gonna want to like gain that experience to be like, look, I'm still above, like I have the discernment of like
Uh,
what is real, what's actually like a good quality or good looking photo. Yeah, like that's with anything, it's like you can't feel too safe.
yeah, of
And that's the thing with just like we've learned over the years with like COVID year happening, all of that, like you have
course.
to just keep gaining the skills to be of value when everything else, crashes out or whatever. Like that's the challenge. Constant challenge is like you just got to keep growing and like
Mm,
gaining that experience and knowledge.
absolutely. You got to keep evolving, right? It's just like anything, right? I do want to discuss because I would just call it what it is, man. I mean, like outside the photography and you have your own kind of variation of that, and it's unique to what Jody does. There's an aspect you also have your own look. I've seen you put on some freakish cool, different color. You know what I mean? Like it's not too many people that can pull some of the stuff off, man. And you like do it religiously. It's you got your own look, you got your own style. Obviously being from the West Coast, you know, being from where you're from, that kind of plays a little bit. But how would you describe your visual identity versus your photographer, or your craft identity?
Visual identity.
It's tough, man. Everyone can't be Jody, dog. Everyone can't be. It is what it is, man.
Nah, man. I never like honestly, I never really thought of myself as like a style icon, but the thing is like I have so much fun like putting on fits. Like
Yeah,
it stems from before being behind the camera, like I honestly enjoyed being in front, like and doing it just for fun. Like that's and it really came down to like having the right fit and just like capturing like a mood, really, like a vibe.
yeah.
I'd pin my style down to sporty chic. Um,
Gee, okay.
growing up, definitely was a tomboy, so I was always in like pants, jeans,
Yeah,
running around outside, like get grass stains and holes in my jeans.
yeah,
Like that was
yeah.
it. But then there was also like the girly part of dressing up that I really enjoyed. As a tomboy, it really helped with being in the sports world, like having the swag. And I say lately, I've been kind of embracing my femininity more,
Nice.
to incorporate that. Like that's where the chic comes in. It's like, all right, we can be swaggy, but we can also kind of like really emphasize features as a woman. And it's like not even in a sexual way. It's like there's always like this stigma of like, you're female, like you got to cover up or you got to like you can't show this and this, but it's like there's just chic way of, doing it. It's just like I'm a woman, like there's no way around it. Like I shouldn't have to cover up like with a hoodie head to toe.
Hmm.
Hide is just like there's just part of dressing up is like figuring out ways to like how do I just like mix up this
Yeah.
feminine swag, yeah.
Do you think dressing up and putting on different looks and pulling them off, one, does that instill confidence? Does that help instill confidence? But also, does it kind of bring power to yourself? Like, do you kind of feel even more empowered being able to pull this like cool look off, or whatever the case is?
Absolutely. Like when you put it on, like you really be walking out the door like and then when you get compliments, that's just like, oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
yeah.
validation. But sometimes it can be hit or miss. I'm gonna be honest. Like sometimes I might just be in a real like comfy fit, like don't look at me today.
Of course, yeah,
And
yeah,
other times it'd be like, yeah, like I might see something online and be like, oh, that'd be fire. And then like it's the real test is when you put it on. Like some might not like, but it's all good. It's all good.
100%. 100%, man. Look, I mean, every day can't be a runway show, right? You're still a normal person, and that's actually what I really want to dive into a little bit here. We talked about where you come from and parts of your work, some of the cool aspects of your work. However, there's a huge aspect to the creative grind. I think a lot of people, one, either go unnoticed, or two, they just don't understand because they're not in it, right? They see the glitz and glam, or they see the cool shots, but they don't see what that background looks like, or what that day in the life looks like. So first things first, I want to ask you, because it sounds like you kind of had your hands on other things. You were trying to figure out some, life things. What inspired you coming from, I guess, the automotive aspect and all these different, you had your hand, sounds like, in a lot of pots. What inspired you to pick up a camera in the first place?
So I tell everyone like the start of it wasn't just, when I started posting everything. It started as a hobby. Like I did fall in love with photography in high school and I took a class. And it
Mm-hmm.
was like the old school. It was like dark room, develop.
Yeah,
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 so
of
you really were just like, dang, what results am I getting out of like this shot?
course.
And then from there, my family had gifted me my first camera, like probably during college.
Nice.
I really just like I'd bring it with me everywhere. I bring it to the parties. I'd be
Yep, yep,
snapping, like
yep.
let me see your grad photos. And it was always just for fun. Like it's we were really heavy on Facebook, so it's like all those
Right.
albums be up there. Yeah, I definitely had a love for just always had a creativeness in me. And from doing like the odd jobs, I
Mhm.
still always had the creativity like in the back of my mind. Like I know like I'm gonna end up doing something creative. I'm gonna end up doing freelance working for myself. Like I just knew like that was my goal. Um, and I had to actually put down the camera for like a couple years because it just like wasn't clicking. Just, I
Gotcha.
wasn't finding my purpose. So when 2020 hit, I happened to switch jobs to a basketball gym.
Gotcha.
And then, I was like, let me try my hand at marketing. Like, so I'm gonna snap these photos, post them on like social media was like a blessing because it's like opened up a whole new avenue of jobs. What really inspired me to keep going with it was seeing these hoopers. It was actually a lot of inspiration from the athletes.
Oh, okay.
Like, they were the ones to first show me love, like, hey, like that's a tough photo. Like, can you send that to me? And then and learning that they would come in consistently to the gyms at like 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa, like, just like seeing that discipline, seeing that motivation to get better, to be better. And that I kind of like soaked it in where it got to the point where one of the hoopers was like, hey, do you want to come shoot our pro run? It's at 6 a.m. And me not being a
Oh,
morning
yeah.
person, I'm like, 6 a.m. And then I think in that moment when I agreed to it, I guess this might also go back to the She Got Game moment, but like that was the turning point for me.
Hmm.
Me like willingly waking up like for a 6 a.m. run
Yeah.
to catch these shots of these hoopers and just like really like that's when it started. Like I started just being in the gyms like with the athletes, like just knowing they were just like they were doing this just to get better. And like
Yeah.
at the same time, I was getting better. I was working on my craft, like getting
It
shot,
was,
putting in the reps. To get better. And that really, that's the journey just like kept going from there. Like I just found myself like wanting to shoot the next thing, like finding out like when else are you guys
yeah.
like going out, venturing out more into LA to other hoopers. One of the bigger events I shot in the way beginning was Meta World Peace. He was
Yeah.
launching his app and they had like a big run over at the gym. And so that's when I got to connect with a lot of hoopers that were from all over LA.
Absolutely.
And just like, yeah, I was just getting the invites to shoot and I was all for it. Like I was working 9 to 5, but I was like, oh, like let me take my free time to go and shoot.
Hmm.
So yeah, that really just like the athletes' dedication, discipline, all that, just like that's what really motivated me.
That's super sick, man. So it just became contagious. He was around it. He was around the right people and stuff. And that's really cool. Seeing their consistency made you want to be consistent. And now we have what you're doing, Jody. Like it's crazy. It's kind of cool, man, to see the evolution, see just just keep elevating. That's so cool. Um, you know, I kind of just mentioned it, and even you kind of explaining and waking up at 6 a.m. a little bit, and just a taste of what some of you guys have to do, like us. We have to do so many things off the camera as well. But people see the photos, people see the cool flicks, people see everything, but they don't see the grind. For people at home or for people who are looking to get into photography, do you mind explaining kind of what a real work day looks like for you and how do you manage it? How do you manage that in life and everything?
Absolutely. Day in the life, definitely. I mean, for me, I go week by week,
Okay.
which has worked out for me because
Hmm.
like a lot of times people really, I would say in planning, like
Hmm.
sometimes the media capture is like, just like kind of a last thought. So then I do get a lot of calls like or texts last minute like, "Hey Jody, are you actually free this day, so and so, this time?" Like, and it'd be like a couple days ahead. It'd be like, like for the most part, I can make it happen.
Gotcha.
Um, so it's kind of being, what do you call it? Like, you got to just be eyes open to like the opportunities that are going to come up. When you're not shooting, you're editing, honestly. So it's like there's constant editing to be done.
Hmm.
And for me, a lot of times, like I might be shooting some weeks 5 days a week, sometimes 2 days a week, which in the end it always balances out because like I said the free time we do have we gotta catch up on editing, right back
Yeah.
to editing. When it comes to like game days for clippers, like I put aside the whole day because I know like
You're gonna be
I don't
able.
like to rush mornings, so it's like I'll wake up my morning, take
Mhm.
my time to get ready, make sure everything's prepped. So that's usually the night before we'll prep like charge batteries, make sure
Mhm.
cards are cleared, all that. Get ready, put the fit on, sometimes that itself, getting ready is like a whole
Of course.
thing. And then my commute to the arena takes a bit of time.
Gotcha.
Hour can be sometimes two in traffic, in this
Mm.
LA traffic. And then yeah, we're getting to the arena like 3 hours ahead
Gotcha.
because we get in, settle down, capture warm-ups, all that. And then the game happens, and then after the game, that's where sometimes more work is done too. Like reporters, like that's when they're
Uh,
post
Post
press.
game. Yep. Hmm.
Me as a photographer, not a lot of the photographers stick around for that, but I personally do because I will say like there are definitely moments, different types of moments that happen in
Yeah.
tunnels, in
On Scrum. Yeah. Absolutely.
interacting with, their people, and I've caught, yeah, so many dope moments.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the latest one was just like the Megan and Clay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Simple moment of him getting his lady and leaving the arena, and like
Cool.
that's when they really get to talk. So yeah, that was dope. And me personally, I more than the aspect of just capturing the action, like I love to learn more about the scene, who these people really
Mhm.
are. So those post
Yeah.
conferences, like sometimes I'll go in there, if I'm not like filming the interview, like I'm sitting there and listening, like that, all of that like intrigues me. I'd say there's definitely a separation from people who are really just in it for the business, and there's some people who really they're soaking in the culture, like they're really about the game, they love the game, like, and that's what makes the job so much smoother and easier to do
Yeah.
and not feel like work. Is like when you actually love the game, like, hey, I'm going to a basketball game, like.
No, 100%. I think there's a lot, man. There's so much there to unpack, man. I mean, like you said, so much information is happening in the scrums because a lot of that stuff people don't even see. They may air about 5, 10 minutes of it, but people don't know. Sometimes they're in the back, like at least the players who are good with media. They're back there. We're talking for 20 minutes sometimes, and we're just
Yeah,
chatting it up. And
yeah,
believe it or not, a lot of stuff, sometimes depending on the player, they get personal. Like back there, with Stewie and Sab, Sabrina and all this, there's a lot of things that don't get aired that they're open and they'll share. I know Jonquel Jones has shared some personal things, and so is Benai Delaney, and so like there's so many key things that happen in the back. And you're right, most photographers leave. They get their shots. We get it. It's a long day. So totally get it. But that's interesting. To be fair, I mean there's a few that stay with us as well, but very few in between. And I think that's a very interesting aspect because of what you're stating. Like when you love what you do, it's not work.
yeah,
Like and even kind of sitting down and putting the camera down, but still listening to. I've never heard that before from a photographer to listen to capture better photos, to understand them better, or to understand certain aspects. Like when you said Clay and Meg, like it was a sick picture, but it was nothing. It was just a passionate moment. He was happy to see her. I think they won that night. I think he had a pretty good game, but he's
yeah,
happy to see her. Extremely passionate. You know what I mean? Like, but it turned out to be a great photo, and you wouldn't have caught that for that little simple moment if you don't stay. And it went crazy. I seen it everywhere. I seen ESPN pick it up. I seen a bunch of people pick it up. So it's just for people at home, the little things is always going to be the nuances that really separate. When you're good like that, there are a lot of people who are good. There are a lot of people who are talented. It'll always be. Even the picture you got behind you, that's like his biggest thing. And I'm one of my favorite players. I love Kobe. One of his biggest things was that's how you're gonna separate, right? It's the small details added on top that separate you from the really good people. So I find that extremely fascinating. And thank you for sharing because I think that's important. It's an important aspect that young photographers probably don't understand.
yeah.
So I think that's super cool. I do kind of want to speak about she's a good friend of mine as well. You guys I love how very joyful and public you guys are about your friendship. with former She Got Game feature Victoria Damasio, aka a lot of people recognize her as Baby V. She's an amazing human. She's doing crazy work too, and every time I see her, she's raising the roof. So shout out to Baby V. But if you could kind of explain how much she's played in your journey, because I know she's based in LA now,
Mhm.
and I'm pretty sure there's so many mediums where you guys run into each other and you have your own connections, she's got her own connections, and you guys aren't necessarily doing the same thing, but you guys are both kind of rising together. I think it's so cool to see. If you kind of just explain a little bit your friendship with her and just how much she's meant to you in your journey.
Yeah. No, that's so dope how you explained it, but and to me it's so funny that like she's brought up in this and it's like it obviously it makes sense and it's because we always just like joke like you see her, you see me, you see me, you see her.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was just like it was bound to, it was bound to happen.
So,
But oh man, like we're partners in shenanigans. Like um the cool part is like when it's funny, she's definitely East Coast. She's from Philly, she's East
mhm.
Coast, but West Coast, we've recruited her. We're hanging on her.
100%.
She might leave from time
100%.
to time, but
I was about to say, I don't see her even, we don't even see her out here no more, man. You guys might have adopted her, man.
yes, we're adopted her. But yeah, like when we met when we were both kind of starting our journey in the new trajectory, like she obviously she has her history of hoops and she's a real one. Like she knows ball.
Mhm.
She like gritty East Coast hooper. And then for me, I was yeah, starting to like transition with the camera and it just worked out where it's just like we both kind of needed a counterpart. Like you said, it's just like in the beginning, we knew of each other, and then when we kind of started ending up in the same places, like, and then it became like where we'd both get hired for the same event. It got to the point where I think, we just started flowing and like she'd invite me to events and then I'd invite her to events and like it just worked out like we knew just like how to move with each other
Absolutely.
boom, 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 like game plan, just like how are we gonna like come in here and make the most of wherever we're at, like networking, working the room, capturing what we need to capture, stuff like that. So from that, just like it progressed and it just progressed into like beautiful friendship. Like we really just know that we got each other like that. But yeah, just like lots of fun moments. It's like I said, it's just like work is never work. It's just like having too much fun.
I love it. I think that's really what you could feel like the genuineness of it. It is unfortunate we are in the entertainment industry. Some people are very social climby, and some of these relationships, they usually stem with some type of benefit. I think I've grown to become, good friends with Victoria simply because, it has always been like a genuine, look out for one another kind of deal, and I respect her highly. But it's just super cool. Even like you're freaking buzzing of joy. Like it's unreal. It's really nice, man. It's really nice to see. And like you said, like when you see you, she's not too far behind, and vice versa. And I mean, anytime I've seen you guys on social media, it's proven to be true. So, super cool to hear, and super cool how you guys like bounce off each other and kind of feed off each other. Very, very unique relationship, I think. And I can't wait to see what you guys both do, moving forward. You guys are unreal, man. We talked a ton about what your data life looks like and kind of some of the aspects that go into, what you're doing, Jody goes through and things of that nature. I want to speak about future shoots because you mentioned it. Even in your career, you're always looking to elevate. You're always looking for the next thing. You know, as a bucket list shoot, perfect world, perfect money, perfect everything lines up. You can have whatever you want. One player, one city, who and where? Who would you bucket list shoot? What's the one player, dead or alive? If you could bring him back to life, whatever the case is, one player, one game, one city.
Just one? Okay.
Yeah.
I can tell you without looking, but honestly, right here, I have a whiteboard. I've got
Okay.
a bucket list.
Okay.
It's a whole list of like a bunch of things I've come across, like some of the greats, some of the like things that I started noting like that happen yearly. I will give you, so the first bucket list player, and the thing is like he wouldn't necessarily associate as a player first. It's actually artist, rapper. My top favorite artist is J. Cole.
Ah,
But I know he
okay.
be hooping too. I
Yeah,
know too.
100%.
So, and I'm saying
100%.
like it don't even have to be like in the bright lights or whatever. Like I just
Mhm.
want a chance to capture him, like just hooping, like even just in a regular run. Like, and
Absolutely.
there's been some opportunities like I was so close to. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, like I'd probably be starstruck a little bit, like if I do
Whole world.
get that chance. So like that's one. That's definitely top. It don't matter where, what city, like anywhere.
Okay.
Um, Second, if if
Oh,
home,
of course, of
home,
course.
home,
Bean, Bean. Yeah, absolutely.
like when I started my journey was literally like 2020, like a little too late, but man, yeah, like I
Yeah,
think
100%. 100%. Bean is it sucks, man. He's on my well, he was on my bucket list for a while too. It still doesn't even feel real sometimes. I grew up on Bean and it's tough. It's tough, but he just keeps striving, and I know he will want us to do the same. And
yeah,
that's
really,
unbelievable, though, man. That's really cool. So ironically, the one player, the one person you would love to shoot, um, isn't a play. It isn't necessarily a professional player. I think that's really interesting. That's really cool. Did you grow up on Cole? Like, did you grow up on Cole and Friday Night Lights and stuff of that nature? Did
yeah,
you
like I said,
kind
I
of?
was a fan like way back then on like the more chill,
Okay,
like just like really listening to his lyrics.
he's unbelievable, man.
Yeah,
He's unbelievable. Love
yeah.
Cole. Love Cole.
Yeah, so that definitely, and I just love the aspect that like hoops is just so inclusive that it's
Yeah.
like, people in all walks of life, like people with different talents and skills, like, and it's usually the ones that hoop that are like the dopest ones to me. So it's like, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know, it is crazy, man, because it's cool to see people, I think, or like especially celebrities, take a step away from what they do and kind of see them kind of humanize themselves a little bit. I think even players, we see the celebrity or we see
And they got to be great.
yeah, it's cool to kind of see them take off their shell and kind of just become who they are. With that being said, in 5 years, right? I think everyone always has like a small, a small goal, big goal, and then like a lifetime goal. In 5 years, if you were to say this, in 5 years, I want my work to make people feel. How would you finish that sentence?
In 5 years, I would want my work to make people feel empowered, is what comes to mind. Empowered.
Love that.
Yeah, just having people like a lot that one of one of my purposes that I really align with
Mhm.
is like instilling in people not necessarily the confidence, but like the tools to for them to become confident in knowing you can do what you want to do. You can do what you set out to do, as impossible, as unreachable as it may seem. I want them to like have that delusional confidence, like, oh, I'm gonna do that. Like, yeah,
Mm,
this is what I want to do. I'm gonna make it happen. Like being around people or new shooters, like I honestly appreciate like when they do reach out for advice in different
mm,
ways, and I do my best to, like I said, like give them the tools because like you can't really just give the answers to everything. Like this is how you're
no,
gonna make it. Like,
no.
but giving them the tools for like a certain mindset, like stay grounded, just like there's a lot because any industry I'd say like there's so many moments of no's, there's discouraging moments, there's like moments of doubt, and you got to just stay grounded and knowing like when you put in the work, like you're doing what you got to do to like get to where you want to go. So yeah, just like empowering, like seeing my work, I hope that it shows them like you can capture your dreams. Like you can, people are like, I want to shoot in the arena. It's like you can make that happen. Like you got to figure it out. You got to play a game. strategy, like find out, but you can do it.
Absolutely. That I mean everything you're saying, the confidence and being able to believe in you, right? I think if you don't believe in you, that's where it starts. How are you going to get other people to believe in your work and certain things of that nature? So I do totally empowering, instilling, all these things are cousins, and I think it plays a huge part, especially in your success. Kind of with that being said, because I feel like we've touched on so much. And again, I wanna state, we really appreciate you for coming on and like sharing either some gems or just allowing people to learn who is and what you do in Jody and just kind of explain like what makes what type of ingredients make what we love and see on a daily basis. So the last thing I want to leave you with in conclusion, you kind of spoke about it briefly, but is there any advice you like to leave for any younger girls, possibly boys, that may resonate with your journey and or just looking up to you? Is there anything you would like to leave them?
Yeah, definitely. Let me see. There's a lot of things at the end of the day, but I guess I'd say trust the process. The journey to becoming who you are, that's where the work's being done. Like a lot of times people just they see something they want and they want to kind of jump right to it.
Ugh,
When you do that, it's like that's a lot of times when you stumble, fall, because you're not ready for it. You're not prepared in certain ways. And so, like enjoy the journey, enjoy where you're at. Like constantly with social media, especially, you're going to see people like doing crazy things, accomplishing big things. And you want that for yourself, but just keep in mind like you're always where you're supposed to be. And when you're not, like your mind is telling you like to level up. And so as long as you're staying prepared, doing the work, those opportunities are going to come to you. Like the magic of my life, I still to this day can't explain it, but
yeah.
I've just had opportunities like come to me organically. Um, and whether it's like something I was prepared for or not, like it either helped me grow, in different ways. Like it made me realize what my weaknesses were. Another thing, yeah, learn to do what you're uncomfortable with too, because that's the
Mhm.
only way you're going to grow. Like everyone's got their weaknesses in different aspects, and yeah, you just really got to like, face it head on and work on those weaknesses, and that's really where you're going to become great.
Absolutely. This is that's crazy. That's priceless advice. I think there's just so much in there. Like she said, I think that's a big deal. Attacking your weaknesses instead of, trying to avoid or whatever, because at some point your skill is going to come into question. And if these things are lacking, it's going to stand out. And hopefully the other individual that you're competing against doesn't have these skills because you're going to get exposed, unfortunately. So I do think, being able to be versatile and learn your craft and really love what you do is always going to be important. It's always going to be important for, the optimum success. So I appreciate you. I think the people when they eventually see this, they're going to appreciate, all the game and stuff you were able to give. And it's just an absolute honor having you on. And more importantly, welcome to the She Got Game family. Once you're on, we're watching, supporting as much as we can, and any way we can help you out in your journey and anything we could do for you, we're here, and we hope and continue to completely keep killing it and celebrating success.
Aw, thank you so much. We're locked in. I feel honored again as the first photographer, like you said. But
Oh my God.
yeah, I'm definitely for empowering girls, women, guys too. Got love for everybody. But yeah, like all the young ones, like definitely keep going. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful, man. And like I said, I mean, for people who don't or aren't familiar with what you're doing, Jody, you guys absolutely shoot her a follow her journey. She's doing amazing things over there on the West Coast. Eventually, we'll get her out to the East Coast, get her in the garden or something. But with that being said, we appreciate you and you know, follow back next time, guys, for more guests and more entertaining things. Again, Jody, amazing and glad to have you on.